But I want to bring your attention to something, and I want to talk about something that Kiyan Anthony said. In the article from Adam Zagoria, he mentioned how Syracuse is, quote, rebuilding. He mentioned that. It was Kiyan Anthony's words. And this may cause alarm. It might. It might make you maybe a little bit upset. Not at Kiyan Anthony, but more about the situation, because no one wants to be in a rebuild. We hate that word. How many organizations in pro sports do we see in their PR department when they release a statement? We're not rebuilding, and they like to use a fancy phrase. We are retooling, or, we're expediting it, or something like that. No one ever wants to admit they're actually in a rebuild. Here's the thing, though. This is why I don't think it's a big deal, and why I'm not alarmed by the fact that he said that Syracuse is in a rebuild. First of all, we must accept reality. Syracuse basketball is in a rebuild. They are in a rebuild. They haven't made the tournament since 2021. That's 3 years in a row. They're in a rebuild right now. Second-year head coach, right? Rebuild. They just had their first 20-win season in 10 years last year. And by that, I mean 20 wins in the regular season. We have to accept reality. They are in a rebuild. And I think most people would agree that Syracuse basketball is in a little bit of a rebuild right now. Not a big deal. You just have to understand that it is reality. It just maybe hurts to hear. Okay? We have to recognize the problem. We have recognized the problem. They're in a rebuild. So that's good. Good start. This is not a big deal, though, because the recruiting has been pretty good since Adrian Autry has taken over. It's been pretty good. I don't think the rebuild's actually hurting. I really don't. In 2024, Syracuse basketball landed a 4-star guard, consensus 4-star guard, in Elijah Moore, who is being hyped up as one of the most prolific shooters in the country. I don't know how much of a role he's really going to have for next season, but this is someone in the coming years, if he develops, could be a really good shooter for Syracuse. Really good. They also landed a 5-star, consensus 5-star, number 6 overall player in the country in Donnie Freeman, who, by the way, is a McDonald's All-American and the first McDonald's All-American to commit to Syracuse since Malachi Richardson. That's pretty good. He's a one-and-done caliber player. I don't think the rebuild is really hurting that. The fact that they got Elijah Moore, they got Donnie Freeman in this rebuild, it's pretty good to me. Plus, you go check On3 right now. Syracuse basketball has the 10th best commit class in the country in 2024. A commit class is between transfers and freshmen coming in. And overall, there are 6 players. 6. 4 transfers, 2 freshmen. Overall, 10th in the country, 3rd in the ACC, only behind Duke and North Carolina. I think we'll take that as a commit class. So once again, this rebuild comment, is it really a cause for alarm? Not really, because they're still getting recruits. And in 2025, they already have Sadiq White, who is a 5-star forward. He's a 5-star already committed to Syracuse. It is July, and he committed last month. I don't think the rebuild's really hurting Syracuse, to be honest with you. They're still getting good players to come. Now they have to win, hopefully, next season. And Kiyan Anthony, by the time he makes a decision, it would be probably early in Syracuse basketball. It's going to be early in Syracuse basketball season. It might not even have started by the time he makes a decision. But the point being, they're still getting good. They got good players in 2024. And in 2025, they already have a good player in the boat. So the rebuild, yeah, like it's not a good term. It sucks to hear, but is it really hurting Syracuse in the recruiting trail? I don't think so. I don't think it's hurting them much. Third point, I don't think that Syracuse is that far away. I really don't. I mentioned last year that they won 20 games in the regular season. So they were on the bubble or on the outer edge of the bubble last year for the NCAA tournament, and they qualified for the NIT, but they ultimately turned it down before the bracket was even revealed. They turned it down. So you're in the NIT. You made that step. The previous 2 years, they couldn't even qualify for the NIT. And I know the NIT, I don't like it. Nobody likes it, really. I don't like it, okay? Don't need to go a whole topic on that. But the point being is that they did show improvement. 2 years, no tournament, no NIT. Last year, no tournament, but they made the NIT. Next year, all you need to do is really tack on a couple more wins, not get blown out a ton of times, hopefully blow out the teams you're supposed to blow out, and you'll probably make the tournament. I don't think the roster, or I should say this, I think the roster on paper is better than last year. I do. Maybe they lack the top-end talent like a Judah Mintz, although I would say that if Donnie Freeman has a big freshman season, we might want to look back on that comment. They might lack the top-end talent of a Judah Mintz, but at the same time, I think it's a deeper roster overall. They have a starting big man now, a capable one in Eddie Lampkin, and now Naheem McLeod is best off the bench. I don't think the rebuild is that far away from ending. I don't think they're that far away. Now, will Syracuse ever get back to where it used to be in the early 2010s and where it used to be, throughout its history? Maybe not. Where they were basically the best team in the conference and a lock to make the tournament every year, and not just a lock, but a top 3 seed, top 5 seed every single season. They might not get to that point, but at the same time, I don't think they're that far away from at least making it, at least being a consistent tournament team. And then once you get to that level, then you can start about the next level, which is the ultra elite programs. They might not ever get to that level again, but still, it's possible to have 1 or 2 fantastic seasons. Then, you get the idea. They're not that far away. My only question is, when would we consider the rebuild over? Okay, when would we consider this over? If Syracuse makes the tournament? Would you say that the rebuild is over if Syracuse basketball makes the tournament next season as a play-in team, loses the play-in, so they don't even make the round of 64, but would you consider that the end of the rebuild? That's the question, right? Would you say maybe it's consecutive tournament appearances? Is it not even based on results? Is it on the recruiting front? If Syracuse were to land Kiyan Anthony, right? And then they're looking at possibly a top 10 class in the class of 2025 with Kiyan Anthony and Sadiq White, maybe some others like maybe Chris Senack on his way as well. Is that when you would consider the rebuild over? I don't know. Leave a comment below your thoughts. When would you think that the Syracuse basketball rebuild is over? What are the qualifications for it? They make the tournament, they make it a couple years in a row, they land another big time recruit here or there. Is that what it is? But overall, I'm not too worried that Kiyan Anthony said that Syracuse basketball is in a rebuild.